from the occupation records, we're actually almost finished with this chapter the way it is. We're going to move right to the death records and burial page. Again, at this point, you are well practiced with the idea that we're just going to upload some information or upload some photos or some scans of documents, drag it into this frame, and then fill in this information. And in this case, I am going to use this frame because I know that the photo I want to use is oriented like that. So I'm going to upload some files. I'm looking for files that represent the death and burial. And let's see, those are coming up right here. I have an article about his death, his obituary, and then an image of his grave. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this over. All of these are different kinds of death records. So I'm going to aggregate the information. Unlike the birth record where I only recorded what was on that birth record, I'm going to go ahead and put in everything I know about his death. Okay, so now we have his death information. You'll see that once again, instead of just continuing this text box, I made a new text box so that everything would line up nicely when I used the second line to continue the information about the cemetery. I could have also included the address of the cemetery, a more detailed address, and I could have included details like the lot number or the plot number, depending on how the cemetery is laid out. As it is, I just included the name of the cemetery and then the city and the state. Now, down here, I have burial, but I've actually already included a picture of the headstone, and I don't think that I want to put other information here. Now, I could put a cemetery map here, especially a cemetery map where I highlight the area where you could find him. I could put paperwork from the cemetery showing, the paperwork that was filled out to order his tombstone or the paperwork that was filled out when they purchased their burial sites, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm actually going to delete this frame. I'm going to delete the notes field and I'm going to change this. It says death records over here. I'm going to go ahead and make this one also a death records page. And you can see I've completely changed this page. The only thing that I kept is the fact that there's the binding bar here and then the index number down here. That is fine. You can go ahead and do this as many times as you want with any pages that you need to, as long as you make sure that however you set up your pages, they're still going to print out correctly because you have them alternating with a left-hand page and then a right-hand page. Anyway, the reason that I wanted this to be blank is because I do want to include this newspaper article, which is an awkward size. I'm going to include the whole scan right there. And then I am going to include his obituary as well. Let's see, we'll just make this a little bit smaller. There. And if we were to zoom in, you can see here we can read his obituary, and here we can read about his funeral services. Now, I could crop this down. It does tell me up here, though, where this appeared. So I sort of want to keep that information. But you have to admit, this is a little bit of an awkward page. So let's actually do something interesting. We're going to crop this down. I double clicked on it and it opened up the crop box. I'm going to crop this like this. Okay, now we have the space to make this a little bit bigger. But we've lost that information about where this was found. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this in again. I'm going to double click on it and I'm going to crop this all the way down to just that note at the top. And then we'll make that a little bit larger and we'll just put that right underneath like that. And now we have a much more balanced page. You can see it looks nothing like the page that you're going to have in your book because I deleted the frames, I changed what I needed to change, and then the scans themselves don't even look like the scan originally did. I just wanted to remind you that you can always change the book so that it reflects the story that you're trying to tell. I could even add something decorative here. Again, I really like to use dried flowers. I think they look nice. So I could do This one, not my favorite. Or let's find one that is not, doesn't have the little plus sign, something that is uh, not protected. Let's see. Most of these have the plus. That's the one we used earlier. What if we did this one? Again, I don't even know that I necessarily like that, but that's kind of a nice decorative element. If you wanted to add it, I'm going to delete it. Anyway, that is how we have filled in our death records pages, well, death records and what used to be the burial page. And now we're ready to look at our source citations.